retractable teeth.
Valka takes Hiccup on a tour of the place where she has lived for over a decade. The area seems like a paradise, with dragons of all shapes and sizes living in peace. Valka, deeply curious about Toothless, even leans in to inspect the retractable teeth, clearly fascinated by him. She's really interested in Toothless, especially since Night Fury dragons have become so rare. Curious, Valka asks Hiccup how he managed to tame Toothless. Hiccup, a little embarrassed, shares the story of his bond with Toothless. Valka is amazed by their tale. Hiccup also tells her that now everyone on Berk has their own dragon, but Valka has a hard time believing it. They don't dwell on that conversation for long, as Valka takes Hiccup to meet the Dragon King, Alpha. Slowly, Alpha rises from the water. The sheer power and presence of the dragon cause all the other dragons to lower their heads in respect. Hiccup, however, isn't intimidated and watches Alpha with wide-eyed curiosity. To his surprise, Alpha blows a gust of frost at him, a sign of affection. Valka laughs heartily at the sight of Hiccup's frosty hair, then, still chuckling, leads him to a meal. Just then, a massive whirlpool forms in the sea. Alpha opens its enormous mouth and leaps out of the water. The giant splash sends a shower of fish into the air, creating a fish rain. Toothless, excited, darts into the air, gobbling up the fish as they fall. After eating their fill, Hiccup and Valka find a small island to rest. Valka, with a gentle press on Toothless' back, makes his dorsal fins rise. Toothless, thrilled, controls the movement of the fins, realizing that by manipulating them, he can make sharp turns in the air. Hiccup, eager to share his adventures, pulls out a map to show his mother, but Valka surprises him by drawing the map in the snow with her staff. All the routes are already etched in her mind. Meanwhile, Toothless, wanting to show off his artistic talent, picks up an ice shard and starts drawing in the snow. The funny part is that the ice shard gets stuck to his tongue and he can't seem to get it off. Astrid and her group, unable to find Hiccup, assumed he had already gone to Drago's camp. They decided to capture Eret and force him to lead them to Drago's dragons. After a series of threats, Astrid managed to convince Eret to help. Once they arrived at the military camp, they observed the situation from a distance. A huge bubble in the water alerted them to the presence of a high-level dragon lurking beneath the surface. Suddenly, they heard noise behind them. Turning around, they realized they had walked straight into an ambush. As their dragons were knocked out by tranquilizer darts, Astrid and her team had no choice but to surrender. On board the military ship, a scarred man slowly walked out. At that moment, Hukfeng, having regained consciousness, started attacking the soldiers around him. Drago ordered his men to fall back. Unscathed by toothless flames, he raised his weapon and shouted at the dragon. His brutal presence immediately subdued Hukfeng, who lowered his head in submission. Drago sneered and stepped on Hukfeng's head, treating the dragon like an insignificant insect. Furious, Astrid started threatening Drago. However, in her anger, she inadvertently revealed everything about Berk and its dragon riders. Upon hearing this, Drago realized that everyone on Berk was a dragon rider and immediately began to assemble his forces, intending to wipe out Berk. He would not allow anyone other than himself to control dragons. Eret, moved by Astrid's words, tried to intervene, but Drago dismissed him as no longer useful. Just as Drago's soldiers prepared to strike Eret, Stormfly jumped in to protect him. Unfortunately, Stormfly was hit with a tranquilizer dart and lost her ability to fight. At that moment, Eret made a crucial decision. He betrayed Drago. Working together with Astrid, they knocked out the soldiers guarding them. They triggered the mechanism, and the Wraith entered the dungeon where Stormfly was being held. Eret stood silently, gazing at Stormfly. He silently thanked her for saving him earlier. Stormfly closed her eyes, allowing Eret's hand to rest gently on her head. This moment made Eret rethink his antagonistic views toward dragons.